wonder, secrets unfold. True crime stories, let the intrigue be told. Grab a seat, get cozy, let's dive into the plot. With Mac J by my side, there's so much to be sought. Mods from the stars, they light up the night. Chillin' with Van, everything feels just right. Welcome to the mystery, the thrill, the thrill we embrace. Solving cases together we'll trace. With Tabby and Maggie, the journey's begun. With laughter and stories, we'll shine like the sun. Sun. Oh. Spirit time vibes with Lisa and Mark. Tia and Mel igniting the spark. According to Lean, curiosity flows. A curious rose in a garden of woes. Sweet misery whispers, tales that enthrall. While Matt, Meg, and Jody, we gather them all. Welcome to the mystery, the thrill we embrace. Solving cases together we'll trace. With Tabby and Maggie, the journey's begun. With laughter and stories, we'll shine like the sun. Sun. So come along, join the fun tonight. In Aussie true crime, everything feels so right.
Hey, beautiful people.
Hi, everyone.
How are we all? See, we've got the beautiful Miss Sharon in here. Miss Sharon and Jody. And of course, my beautiful Mac J. Well, what a week.
Yes.
First I've got to say Mac J's got a new microphone. Yay.
Yay.
So hopefully no more sound problems. Hopefully we've fixed everything now.
Yes.
And we have had a huge week in our trials. This is a case, Erin Patterson, that I have touched on a very long time ago when it first happened. And finally she's going to court. Her trial started. Okay. We had a public holiday here Monday. So Tuesday was day one of the trial. But Tuesday they just picked the jury, gave the jury instructions, and then really started it on Wednesday. So I've made a presentation that we're going to show, but my day one is really day two, because day one was picking the trailers, if that makes sense. So I've just counted day one from opening statements, because to me that's day one. But let's pull it up. Beautiful Kaz, how are you, my darling?
Hi, Kaz.
I have gave away 5 memberships as well. So J. Marie, Joanne, Jasmine D, Chick Tracy, and Sharing and Caring with Miss Chewy all got memberships. Let me bring this up. So we probably all remember her from this picture, because it's a very famous picture of when she was standing outside in front of her car crying.
Oh, yes.
And it's going to go. And so this case is known as the death cap poisoning or mushroom poisoning. Do you know what I mean? It's getting both of them. I do got to say, I have been watching this trial very closely. You can ask Mac J. She's seen the information I've got on it. I've been mad over it all week. But the town, like they're doing it in Morwell, what is about 150 kilometres out of Melbourne. And all I've got to say is it's only a small country town, but the whole town is, the accommodation is sold out. It's like there's a rock concert or something on there. You cannot get any accommodation in the town. It's crazy. We have news reporters from all around the world there.
Wow.
So it's not just Australia. This is going worldwide, this case. And I'm very surprised. I've been looking around. There is only one other channel that I can find that is actually covering it. They are at the court, but yeah, there's only one channel I found that's covering this case. For how big it is, I'm quite surprised.
Yeah, me too. But I guess there's some big cases going on at the moment, like Idaho and
Oh my
such
God.
and such.
Okay, Spirit Chime's getting caps. He's been missing, NC. As soon as I start my live, he turns back up. All right. So Erin Patterson, her trial is allegedly, what she's being charged with is murdering her in-laws by serving them a lunch laced with death cap mushrooms. And it started in Victoria. Erin Patterson, 50, faces 3 charges of murder, 1 charge of attempted murder relating to the beef Wellington lunch she served at her house in South Gibson in 2023. I do know there was 3 more charges of attempted murder on her ex-partner, or estranged husband as they call him in this case. I don't know why, but those 3 charges were dropped right before the court case started.
Oh,
So
wow.
she was up on 4 charges. And I do know those 3 times that she tried to was before this lunch. So this lunch isn't the first time she has tried this, but that all comes out in the case anyway and gets spoken about. I just know the charges were dropped. Literally after that, they picked the jury, dropped the charges, opening statements. So, that's easy. For those that don't know, the shrooms attack your liver and continue to attack it numerous times. It does. This is the thing I have learned. Like, I knew about death cap mushrooms, obviously. Do you know what I mean? As kids, we're warned about them, not to eat the mushrooms on the ground. But
yeah.
I have learned, and it's just from following this case, and I'm sure I'm going to learn more, but what they do is these mushrooms actually attack your liver and make you really sick. Do you know what I mean? It's vomiting, it's diarrhea, obviously pain because it's attacking your liver. But then you get what they call a honeymoon period where you actually feel like you're getting better. And then the poison starts again, and it just starts repoisoning you all over again. And that's what it is, a vicious cycle. It will make you sick, you'll feel better, and then it makes you sick again. And that will happen until it kills your liver and your kidneys. And most people that do survive it need transplants after it. So, but yeah, it's pretty scary. Sorry, my grandkids are still up, so you're going to hear them. So these are some of the main players. We have up the top Erin Patterson. And then he separated from... hang on. Sorry, I've just got to get my son to be quiet. 2 seconds. Mac J, can you just take over for a minute?
Yeah, no worries. So this guy is the ex-partner. Uh, and these are the parents of the ex-partner. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I was just being awfully loud. Okay, so yeah. So Simon is, as MacJ just said, that's her estranged husband, is what they call him, but her ex-husband. And his parents are Gail Patterson and Don Patterson. They were both at this lunch, and sadly, both of them passed away in this. Please stay safe while you're coming home. Heather is Gail's sister, so Simon's auntie, and she's married to Ian Wilkinson as well, and they were also both at this lunch. So Gail, Don, and Heather are the ones that have passed from this, sadly. Ian did survive, but if I remember, it was like 6 or 7 weeks. I think he was in hospital. I know it was a long time and it probably comes out. But as I said, we're only at day 3, so I've just reported on what's came out. Hi, beautiful Jessie. How are you, my darling? So everything I've got basically, I'm using ABC. Yeah, ABC, I think, for probably 90% of this, because they've got reporters in there and they're doing an amazing job with everything that's coming out. They've been like updating every half an hour. So who is Erin Patterson? She's the 50-year-old mother of 2 from, and I hope I don't kill these names, Leongatha, what's in Victoria, country Victoria. It's a couple of hours from Melbourne. Erin is accused of the passings of her in-laws, Don and Gail Patterson, and Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson. She is accused of attempting to murder Heather's husband, Ian, who attended the lunch but recovered after weeks in the hospital. Erin previously faced attempted murder charges for repeatedly attempting to poison her former husband, Simon Patterson, but the prosecution dropped these charges. Erin received a large inheritance from her grandmother, who passed away in 2006. She bought a house in Kurrumbura after separating from Simon, but I can't even say that word now. She built a house in Leongatha. You know, I've heard these names so much and I just can't pronounce them now. And moved into it in the later half of 2022.
Oh wow.
Unbelievable. She unalived her in-laws, but intended to. Yeah, that's the thing. Like after 3 days of listening, you actually start to feel sorry for her and wonder whether, because obviously her thing is she did not intend to do it. She's saying that yes, she made this lunch, but she didn't intend for everyone to get sick. But then you have to look at the past where she's done this 3 times to Simon before.
Oh
And
wow.
to the extent that Simon was actually invited to this dinner as well. And the night before, he sadly sent him a text message, but we do get to what they have spoke about already, declining to go to the meal because he didn't feel like I wouldn't either. If someone tried to get me 3 times. But yeah. So this is Simon. Simon Patterson is Erin Patterson's estranged husband. Simon's parents, Gail and Don Patterson, passed after eating Erin's beef Wellington. His aunt Heather also passed from the meal, but his uncle-in-law Ian survived. Simon met Erin in the early 2000s through their respective roles at a Monash City Council. They married in June 2007 and had 2 children. During their marriage, they separated several times for short periods. In late 2015, they separated permanently, and Simon lived in Corumbura. One thing I do got to say, though, is that they are still very close. Didn't she
Is my
try?
mic muted?
Hey? No, I can hear you. Didn't she try to claim she brought the mushrooms from the
Shit. Is it muted?
supermarket? No, we can hear you, MacJ.
Oh, okay.
Didn't she try to claim? Yeah, she does. So she said that she brought some of them at Woolworths, and she's saying that she brought some of them at an Asian supermarket, but not one in her town. She went to Melbourne to buy them. So, but she's also admitted to lying about foraging for them, and admitted that she's lied about that too now. There is more that's been said, but I want to leave it till it comes out because there's been heaps coming out. So
Yeah,
Donald and day one opening statements was huge. I think they'd done the whole trial in the opening statement, so it was a huge day. And then today they only had half a day, so it was only like 2.5 hours today. So it was. And I think we have another public holiday Monday as well, so it won't be back in court now till Tuesday. So Donald and Gail Patterson were Simon Patterson's parents. They married in November 1973 and had 4 children. They settled in Corumbura in 1984 and lived there until their passing. They are the parents-in-laws of Erin Patterson and remained in contact on umbilical terms with her despite Erin and Simon's marriage breakdown. Dom worked as a teacher but had retired for several years before his passing, and he was 70 years old. And Gail was a homemaker and was also 70 when she passed. She had 2 sisters, including one of them being Heather Wilkinson, what we hear about. And I just wanted to show this because, do you know what I mean? These are the victims, and I just thought their story should be told too. It's Labor Day for us. Yeah, I knew there was a public holiday. Be right back. Okay. So this is Heather and Ian Wilkinson. Heather Wilkinson was the sister of Gail Patterson and the aunt of Simon Patterson, so Erin Patterson's estranged husband. Heather married Ian Wilkinson in February 1979, and they had 4 children. They also settled in Corumbura in 1984. Heather was a teacher and passed at the age of 66. Ian has been a pastor of the Corumbura Baptist Church since 1999, and he is the only survivor from this lunch. I mean, Simon should be thanking his lucky stars he didn't go.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I'm just going to go over, or I've just put down in here a little bit of the timeline. Just, I know, you mean I've covered it before, but I just wanted to have it to go over again. So Erin had arranged a lunch on July 29th, 2023 at her home in Lethborough and allegedly served a beef Wellington meal. She had prepared during herself. Okay, I think that I was supposed to put during the day. Sadly, the The lunch resulted in the passing of 3 people. Erin was arrested and charged with 3 counts of murder and 5 counts of attempted murder on November 2nd, 2023. But as I said, 3 of those attempted murders were dropped. It must be 4 because she's only up for 1 now.
Okay, that's strange.
She's on 3 counts of murder and 1 of attempted murder. So all the ones on Simon were dropped.
Okay. Wonder why that was.
I don't know. They're not. And see, this is the thing, and obviously Mac J knows it, with Australian ones, we don't find a lot out until after this goes to court. So, do you mean once the court's over, I'm sure we're going to find out why they done it. I don't know if it was prosecution or defense, but we'll find out usually at the end.
Yeah.
So, at the lunch, where her ex-husband's parents, Don and Gail Patterson, Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, Heather's husband, Ian, and Erin's 2 children. Now, there's a lot of things. So, at the start, there was things saying that the 2 children were there, then the 2 children weren't there, then the 2 children came later. They're children, so I really don't want to get into it, but I don't know if they were there the whole time, some of the time, if that makes sense, but I really don't. Yeah. They're children. I want to try and keep them out of as much of it as we can.
Yeah.
So Don and Gail, Heather and Ian became critically ill after the lunch, with police saying their symptoms were consistent with having eaten toxic death cap mushrooms. Erin claimed she also ate a serving of the beef Wellington. Excuse me. Erin claimed she also ate a serving of the beef Wellington and later suffered bad stomach pains and diarrhea. Her 2 children are believed to have eaten a different meal to the rest of the group. But it also came out in court that he picked them up later, so that's why I'm saying I'm not 100% sure
Okay.
how much of it they were there for. Because she also says later that they ate the beef Wellington, but she took the mushrooms off theirs and the pastry. Because, that's not a sign of guilt.
Oh, yeah, definitely not. Haha.
So, July 29th, extended family shared a meal at Erin Patterson's home in Lethbridge in southwest Queensland. July 30th, Heather Wilkinson, Ian Wilkinson, Gail Patterson, and Don Patterson were all taken to hospital after becoming ill. August 4th, Heather Wilkinson and Gail Patterson both passed. So that's July. What's that? 6 days after eating it.
Okay. Ugh.
So it was pretty quick. August 5th. So a day later, on August 5th, Don Patterson passed. Police executed a warrant at Erin Patterson's Leongatha, I think that's how you say it, or Leongatha home, and questioned her before she was released, pending further inquiries. On August 7th, Erin Patterson denies any wrongdoing when questioned by reporters outside her home. So that's the one most of us have saw where she was crying in front of the car. August 14th, ABC News released a letter penned by Erin Patterson in which she says that she regrets giving a no-comment interview to the police. She confirmed that she prepared the beef Wellington for the lunch, claiming that she used mushrooms purchased from a major supermarket, what was Woolworths, and dried mushrooms from an Asian grocery store in Melbourne. And August 31st, police memorial service for Gail and Don Patterson is held. So I do know that after it, she did say that she That's also, I think, not how these sorts of toxins work. Just picking out the mushrooms wouldn't do it, as the mushrooms have been cooked into the meal. The toxins would leak, to the rest of the
Yeah.
food. Jimmy, she also said that she was saying that she got it from an Asian supermarket, yet later on she does admit to lying to the police about that and that she did go foraging for them. She also says that her children don't like. I mean, this is what happens when you get people that lie. You just, she said. But she also said that her children didn't like mushrooms, but she used her dehydrator to take them down to a powder, and we're putting them in muffins and trying them with the kids who don't like mushrooms, and the kids like them muffins over the others.
What? I find that hard to believe.
So that's what I mean. I've just had this case for the last 3 days. So September 23rd, Ian Wilkinson leaves the hospital after almost 2 months of treatment. Yeah, I knew it was I thought it was about that. October 4th, the public memorial service for Heather Wilkinson. And November 2nd, Erin Patterson is arrested and interviewed while authorities search her home with assistance from the Australian Federal Police and the detective dogs. She is charged with 3 counts of murder and 5 counts of attempted murder.
Wow.
So this is the Latrobe Valley Law Courts, and this is the actual courthouse that the case is being held in. As I said, it's a very small town. This picture was taken Wednesday? Could have been Tuesday or Wednesday. And one thing I've got to say, being Victoria, look at those clouds. I do not miss that. That was the first thing I looked when I saw the picture. Look at those clouds. So that's where everyone's going to. And I was just telling Mac J, there are people, there are reporters all over the world who have come and reporting on this. So we have 15 jurors, comprising of 5 women and 10 men. They were selected on Tuesday from a panel of 120 people to take part of the trial, which is expected to take 5 to 6 weeks. The clouds are the beginning of mushroom. All I can say is I'm glad I'm in Queensland now. So they're saying the trial is going to take 5 to 6 weeks. However, at the end of the case, 3 jurors will be balloted off and the remaining 12 will be asked to reach the verdict. The extra jurors are just, replacements in case someone gets ill or something. Yep. I am now a proud Queenslander. We moved, where did we move, Mac J? November?
Yeah, around November. Yeah.
So I came from Melbourne. We were in Melbourne for 5 or 6 years. But I'm really happy to be back up in Queensland again. I love the weather up here. Even though we moved here and we got the cyclone and we've had rain. I know it was really cold this morning. I said to my husband, does it feel like we're back in Melbourne yet? Welcome to God's country. It's beautiful here. I was born here. We left for probably about 10 years.
Okay.
But I was born in Brisbane, so I'm actually Brisbane born and bred. I only went away for a holiday. So why is Erin Patterson's trial? Yeah, it was 14 degrees this morning. I know. It was cold. I had to get the dressing gown out.
Oh, wow.
So why is Erin Patterson's trial being held in Gippsland? And this is something that has been asked because it's so close to Melbourne. Most big cases would just be taken straight to Melbourne. But Erin Patterson's murder trial is being held at the Latrobe Valley Justice Precinct in Morwell, what is about 150 kilometres from Melbourne, while other major trials are held in the Supreme Court of Victoria in Melbourne. Patterson's will be tried in Morwell because that's the closest suitable courtroom to where the alleged crime was committed. Australian criminal law recognises the rights of local communities to observe a court proceeding related to crimes committed in their area and the right of an accused person to be judged by their peers. Morwell is about 60 kilometres from Leongatha, where the deadly lunch took place in 2023. I do also want to add, I know that Erin herself kicked up a major stink to keep the case as close back to where it happened. She didn't want it to go to Melbourne.
Well, yeah, because Melbourne would attract even more attention, I think, being in a capital city.
Yeah. I don't think she thought this case was going to get as big as it did.
No, definitely not.
So the jury has just been brought in. So these are all the opening statements from day one. Now, as I said before, day one was when they done the jury. I've counted day one from opening statements because all that happened on the Tuesday was the jury was selected. They were given, do you know what I mean, their jury stuff, and they started again Wednesday for opening statements. So I've just counted that as day one. So the jury's been brought in for the day's proceedings. Justice Christopher Beale has a few more legal instructions to give the jury before Natal Rogers, SC, begins the prosecution. No bush person here. My brother knows the difference between deadly and edible wild mushrooms. We live off the land. Yep. Sorry. So she begins the prosecution's openings. Now, I do know in the court when they're talking to her, they keep calling her Dr. Rogers. So I don't know if she's actually a doctor, but I mean, when they refer to her, they've been referring to her as Dr. Rogers as well. But she is the prosecutor, like the main prosecutor. She starts her. Okay.
I'm guessing that she's referred to doctor because she has a doctorate.
It could be. They just keep saying Dr. Rogers, and I'm like, what? The doctor? But then I got to keep reminding myself that's the prosecutor. But she's doing an amazing job too. So Erin Patterson is in the dock, sitting about 2 meters behind the reporters. She's wearing a blue and white striped shirt on her first day. So the jury's checklist for the conviction, Justin Beagle ran the jury through a slideshow with details, the technical elements of the charge of murder. At the end of the trial, all these points, so there's 4. Can't even read my own writing here. Charge at the end of the trial, all these points will need to be satisfied beyond reasonable doubt for the jury to convict Miss Patterson of the offence. So the accused caused the death by serving the poisonous meal. The accused alleged conduct with conscious, volunteer, and deliberate. And at the time of the alleged conduct, the accused intended to kill or cause really serious injury, or the accused killed the deceased without lawful justice or excuse. So each of these points will need to be considered for each of the charges relating to Don and Gail and Heather, through the evidence, obviously. So that was just the jury instructions. That's what they got.
Okay.
In similar vein, there are 4 elements of the charge of attempted murder. This is the charge that relates to Ian, who fell seriously ill after attending the lunch, but he didn't pass. One key difference from murder, though, is that the intent must be an intention to kill. Your murder, it can be an intention to kill or an intention to cause really serious injury. So 5 plates, 5 beef Wellingtons. The Crown Prosecutor, Natelle Rogers, moves to the critical event of the trial, the lunch itself. She tells the jury that So this is where she started. She tells the jury that Miss Patterson's 4 guests arrived at the Lithgow home and was greeted at the door. She showed them around the house before the group gathered in the kitchen island bench. And there are some nuggets in here that we didn't know before too. The meals prepared were 5 individual beef Wellingtons, mashed potatoes, and green beans. They said grace and started the meal. Dr. Rogers says the guests all ate from grey plates, and this is something we didn't know before. So the guests all ate from grey plates, while Miss Patterson's was a lighter coloured, which was described as orange or smaller than the others. So even that sends a red flags to me. Why is her plate different? The prosecutor,
That's convenient.
yeah, all 4, their plates were all on most grey ones, and hers was different. The prosecutor alleges that Ian and Heather ate all of their servings of the beef Wellington, while Don ate all of his serving and half of Gail's. For dessert, they ate a cake brought by Gail and a fruit platter from Heather. Dr. Rogers says Miss Patterson dropped a bombshell that she had cancer. She wanted to know whether to tell the kids or to keep it from them. The group prayed again. The court hears, and the guests headed home later that afternoon. And we do find out she didn't actually have cancer either. That's another lie. Just putting that 2 cents out there. So Patterson belonged to true crime Facebook pages. What I have found out to be Kelly Lane Facebook pages. So anyone that knows Kelly Lane, she was, she heard her daughter. Her daughter passed.
Yeah. Was that? She's got a documentary on Netflix, doesn't she?
Probably.
Yeah.
One we could probably cover one day, but that was the Facebook group that she was in. The members branched out and discussed other topics, including current affairs and their personal lives. Miss Patterson used her other Facebook page under her real name, but also had other accounts, Erin and Erin. Dr. Rogers then moved on the topic. From that topic, no doubt will pop up again, either in the openings or during the evidence. So what the big thing with this, and I think with opening statements, they're just like quickly touching on it and moving on. But the thing with this Facebook page is later on they talk about the dehydrator because she was using that to dehydrate the mushrooms. After the dinner happened, she threw away the dehydrator she had because it had the death cap resins in it, and lied to the police and said she didn't have it. Yet she was on these Kelly Lane pages putting up photos of her dehydrator and telling people how to use it. So that's where the Facebook page comes in.
I wonder if her Facebook is still up.
Well, she had a couple of accounts. She had the one under her name. They might have taken them all because they're in the case. But as I said here, she also went under one that was Erin and Erin.
Okay.
So she had a couple of Facebook pages that she was using. Okay. Illness sets in for group following the lunch. So back to the fallout from the lunch. Dr. Rogers says that all 4 lunch guests were sick the following morning, suffering from vomiting and diarrhea. All 4 ended up in the local hospital in Kurrumbara and Leongatha. The prosecutor said Simon Patterson became aware of the illnesses and went over to the Wilkinson home. Dr. Rogers says that Heather Wilkinson made some comments reflecting on the lunch the previous day. And her comments were, this is what they brought up in the court, "Yeah, I noticed Erin put her food on a different plate to us. Her plate had different colours on it. I wonder why it was." Miss Wilkinson is alleged to have said this. So she said that before she passed.
Hmm.
At the hospital, a round of tests were conducted on the Pattersons and the Wilkinsons. According to the prosecutor, doctors heard reports that they had been vomiting up to 30 times since the lunch. Initially, a decision was made to not administer NAC, what was an antidote to the toxins. For the mushrooms, Dr. Rogers said that this was due to them initially being not significant evidence. So they didn't have enough evidence that it was death cap mushrooms at the time, so they couldn't give they call it an antidote. It's not really an antidote. It doesn't stop it because there is no antidote for death cap, but it just tries to help ease it, kind of thing. But they didn't
So,
have enough evidence at the time.
ah, so does the antidote stop it, or just hot
It just simmers the conditions down. It's not gonna. I mean, there's nothing that will stop a death cap.
okay.
You can obviously give the whatever. I think it was charcoal they were talking about. I'm not 100. Jimmy, I'm not 100% on what they said it was, but there was something they were talking about that helps ease the symptoms. There are some people that have came out of them, but the woman is guilty of unaliving. Woman is guilty of unaliving these elderly people without. Yeah. I
Yeah.
start to feel sorry for her, but then you've got to add up all the lies. And my theory is if you're going to lie over something small, do you know what I mean? I don't trust you on anything. So,
Yeah.
NAC is a liver protectant. It's used in Panadol overdoses. Okay. I'd say it's probably to help prevent. Well, they were talking about charcoal as well, so maybe do you remember? Yeah. So Don and Gail's lactose levels were elevated, and that's another thing. This lactate levels is something that they have been talking heaps about as well. So I'm sure we're going to hear about that heaps. Indicating that they were very unwell. Dr. Rogers says that the jury would hear later in the trial about the lactose levels and what they mean, and further consult the full were treated with fluids, the NAC drug, and active charcoal. Yeah, see, so they had the NAC and the charcoal. Eventually, all 4 patients were transferred to the Austin Hospital for further treatment. During a discussion with a doctor, Don Patterson mentioned he had finished his wife's leftovers during the lunch. Don and Gail's son Matthew offered to call Erin Patterson and ask where she got the mushroom for the beef Wellington. So they were already starting to ask questions as well. I do know that the Austin Hospital is... I can't remember what the town is. But I do know that is a main one for liver damage and retinal damage. So I think that's why they would have been sent there as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Erin Patterson told family she was feeling ill. The day after the lunch, Erin Patterson told her kids that she was starting to feel sick. Dr. Rogers said Simon also called her to inform her of the lunch guest's condition. Miss Patterson told him that she was also feeling unwell. Dr. Rogers says the accused took her children to a flying lesson in Tabah that afternoon, where Miss Patterson was captured on security footage entering a toilet at a service station, but only stayed in there for 9 seconds. Quick toilet trip. The trip was cut short and the group returned home. Miss Patterson used the toilet at the home. Dr. Rogers said that evening they ate beans, mashed potatoes, and meat, which Miss Patterson said was leftovers from the previous lunch. They ate beans, mashed potatoes, and meat that was left over. So that, yeah. The prosecutor assessed that the children's meals was not contaminated with the death cap mushrooms. So that's where she said that she took the mushrooms off theirs and took the pastry off, even though she didn't do anything. Do you see what I mean about the red flags and lies?
Oh yeah, there's like hundreds of them.
But I think by the time the hospital workers would have figured out what was going on, the time frame effectiveness of the next window would have passed. Yeah, they held it off because they didn't have, like, they did give it eventually, but they held it off, sadly.
Bugger.
It's sad because more of them could have survived it.
And more could have testified. That sucks.
Well, poor Simon's been on the... He was the first witness up yesterday, and he was on there all day yesterday, and he was the first one back up again this morning.
Oh, he must be exhausted.
This is so sad. It is. So the prosecution says Miss Patterson checked herself out of the hospital. She discharged herself from the Lithgow Hospital against medical advice, Dr. Rogers said. Doctors were not only concerned for Miss Patterson, but for her children, the prosecution tells the jury. It was because Miss Patterson said that the children had also eaten the meat from the Saturday lunch. The accused said the mushrooms had been scraped off and the children did not like mushrooms. Miss Rogers said the court was shown an image from a security camera showing Miss Patterson leaving the hospital while talking to medical staff. One of the doctors at the hospital, Chris Webster, became so concerned for Miss Patterson that he left repeated voicemails saying that he would consider calling the police to bring her back. I know. Poor children. Miss Sharon, you're okay? I do know from what I've heard as well that she was actually fighting with the doctors to leave, that she didn't want to stay in the hospital, and they had to argue with her to bring the children in, and they literally wanted them to bring them in so that they could check them to see if they were okay. Because knowing that they'd ate this, knowing that they had so many people in hospital already, as soon as Erin went to the hospital and said her name, do you know what I mean? By that time, they were already starting to clue on that it was death cap mushrooms.
Yeah.
And found out she was at the dinner. they wanted to test her to make sure that there was no more people, and then when she said the kids, they wanted the kids to come in, and I do know she caused a big commotion. Commotion. I can't even speak. A big commotion. Really, how many people eat mushrooms? I know I'm never eating them again. I used to love mushrooms. Like as I said, we all knew it from kids. We were always told, but yeah, I'll just pass on them now. Miss Patterson told hospital that she suffered from diarrhea. The prosecutor says the prosecution claims that Miss Patterson said that she had been suffering from diarrhea since eating the meal. This prompted hospital staff to begin to monitor Miss Patterson's bowel movements, explaining her toilet pan after each trip to the bathroom. See, that's suspicious. If you generally were caught off guard by this, you'd rush yourself and your kids. I know. And she didn't. She didn't even want them tested. And my theory behind that is because she knew that they didn't have the poisoning. And I think, again, this is just in my opinion, it's not proven. I think the only reason she went to the hospital was to make it look like she was sick as well.
I agree.
But that's not fact, that's my opinion. So don't think I'm eating mushrooms. Yeah. I'll just pass on them for a little while. So the prosecution claims that Miss Patterson said that she'd been suffering from diarrhea since eating the meal. This prompted hospital staff to begin monitoring her. Where was up to? When a nurse examined the toilet pan after one trip, she found a yellow liquid with brown segments. Dr. Rogers tells the jury Miss Patterson told the nurse it had been a bowel movement. She said she knew it looked like wee, but it was actually poo, Dr. Rogers said. Miss Patterson remained adamant in her desire to leave the hospital to pick up her children despite doctors' advice, the jury hears. She resisted medication, including the NAC drug and the IV fluids, saying that she did not want any treatment.
Ha. I wonder why. She probably wanted, this is just my theory, but she probably wanted to get out there as soon as possible, like before they got more suspicious of her.
Yeah.
Or she was worried potentially that there was maybe some sort of something that could prove, maybe like on her body, like spores or clothing or something that had like evidence on it, you know?
Yeah. I just don't think she took it. I think she knew. That's just my. Because why else would you leave hospital knowing that your in-laws are so sick? If I thought my children or my grandchildren, I would be up there in a heartbeat with my children at the hospital saying, "Save them, check them." So Miss Patterson, mate, she had to get home to do another check for more evidence. Yeah,
Oh, good point.
because that's exactly what she was doing. So back at Miss Patterson's house, police found the leftovers of the beef Wellington meal in the bin. The leftovers were taken to Langathan Hospital for testing. Prosecutors alleged that Miss Patterson was now saying there were two sources of the mushrooms, one from Woolworths and one from an Asian grocer in the Oxley region in suburban Melbourne. When asked by doctors, sorry, go.
I just wanted to add to generally Asian supermarkets like they're still subject to the same laws as normal supermarkets, but the stuff they import would be done by sniffer dogs, and
Mm.
like I just find it hard to believe that like a massive chain like um, Coles, Woolies, or even Asian supermarkets where they're like got
Like
all
it,
these.
it could happen, but the thing is, this is another one of the things that she has admitted to lying about. So at the start, she told them that she didn't go foraging, and it comes out that she did lie to the police about that because she did go foraging for them. So she didn't get them from the. I don't think she got them from the Asian supermarket. She probably did get some from Woolies, but I think she went foraging for the other ones
Oh,
because you wouldn't get. They would have to go through testing and that to be sold in supermarkets. I would. Do you know what I mean?
well, yeah, like the super big supermarkets, especially like the massive chains like Coles and Woolies, would be putting a lot of money like for testing
Mm.
their food and stuff. Like they don't want to be done for negligence or whatever. Granted, in Australia, you don't get um, as much money as you would in the US, but they still have more safety checks than say your local grocer. So
Mm.
like your country one. So I don't know, it'd be more believable in my opinion if it came from like a small supermarket chain, like
Yeah.
but even then, like ugh.
Thank you, guys. It's the grandson. He's 6 o'clock's his bedtime, so he's heading up to bed now. The granddaughter's not here. It's only just the little grandson. It was so cute because me and Mac J were on earlier, and he
Yeah.
was on my lap and he's waving hi.
Oh,
Wasn't he?
he is adorable.
He's so cute when he goes to preschool too, because he'll just walk. You open the door and he'll just walk in like he's the whole door. He'll walk in. It's hiya to the preschool.
Yeah.
He's so cute. The woman is guilty, as there is no more reasons. Yeah. There's almost no way these mushrooms could end up in commercial mushrooms that only grow near oak trees. She went looking for them. I know she did. And I also think she planned them, but that's, in my opinion, that's not a fact. I think the intent is definitely there, but that's what the court case is all about, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder though, it'll be interesting to see if she ticks all the boxes for intent in
Mm.
their legislation, whatever,
Yeah. Well, there's those four points at the start. That's what the jury's looking for. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. Like, I knew the 4 points, but I didn't know they came from
yeah, they've got to be able to tick all four of those points to find her guilty. Also, if
okay.
anyone had accidentally contaminated edible mushrooms with death caps, there would be other random customers also exactly ingesting it. Exactly. Do you mean I do
Exactly.
remember, and I remember looking at this case, there was another one in Australia, but it was like 13 years ago. It was a restaurant. I'd have to have another look. I'll try and, for our next one on this, I'll try and find it, but it was 13 years ago and it was a restaurant, but it was the chef who had cooked the meal. The restaurant was closed and he cooked it for four particular people in that case. But he admitted that he found them farming and, do you know what I mean, brought them in, cooked them up. So, and no one passed in that one. But I will try and find it. I found it today, but I'll try and find it. So next week when we do our next recap, I'll try and have that one for you. But yeah, I couldn't see them getting in commercial places. So when asked by doctors which Asian grocer it was, Miss Patterson said that she did not remember and that the grocer could have, in fact, been in Glen Waverley. Dr. Rogers said. Again, they can't trace it if she can't remember.
Exactly. How convenient.
Mm-hmm. I think this case we need to get one of those, like, get a drink so that we can just drink every time there's a red flag.
We'd be pretty drunk by then.
So Miss Patterson denied using wild or foraged mushrooms, Dr. Rogers tells the jury. While in hospital, Miss Patterson's blood test did not show signs that she was seriously unwell, Dr. Rogers said. However, Miss Patterson was insistent that she wanted to leave to pick up her kids from school. She continued to insist that her children were fine and didn't eat the mushrooms. No, I scraped them off, Miss Patterson. She blamed the Asian grocer in the same way COVID was blamed on China, by blaming the foreign. It's ironic she hoped to make it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be like as we would. So, no, I scraped them off, Miss Patterson allegedly told nurses. She did not appear to be concerned about the children's health. Rather, she didn't want to be stressing them out, Dr. Rogers said. Honestly, I would rather stressed out children and know that they're okay, that no juices got into them, even if she scraped the mushrooms off.
Well, wouldn't
Do you know what I
scraping
mean?
the mushroom... Oh, sorry.
No, go.
I was just going to say that if she's... You would think she'd still be worried even if she scraped the mushrooms off, because scraping the mushrooms would still cause spores, to come off it. So she
Yep,
just doesn't make
absolutely.
any sense.
And see, when they tested her, she wasn't sick, even though she was saying it. That's why I feel she wasn't sick. She knew she didn't eat the bad ones. They were on the grey plates.
Oh, exactly.
So Miss Patterson denied using the wild or foraged mushrooms, Dr. Rogers tells the jury. While in hospital, Miss Patterson's blood test did not show signs that she was seriously unwell, Dr. Rogers said. However, Miss Patterson was insistent that she wanted to leave to pick up her kids from school. She continued to insist. Okay, I've put that twice. I'm so sorry. She's not just a liar, she's also kind of dumb, so her lies fall apart under scrutiny. Yep. It's funny, like, do you mean most people that know me on this know that I don't get on with my father because he's passed, but he's also a very big liar. I grew up with my nana, and my nana used to always say to me, liars can't even lie straight in bed. So
Sorry, that's funny.
she did. That was what she used to always say to me. And she used to always tell me my dad couldn't lie straight in bed. Investigations into the mushrooms begins. Dr. Rogers says that the Victorian Department of Health began an urgent investigation to find the source of the mushrooms. After being told some were purchased from an unspecified Asian grocer in the Oakland area, the department enlisted the help of the Monash City Council. A council officer went round to Asian grocers in the council looking for dried and fresh mushroom products. He was not able to find any products fitting the description of the dried mushrooms that the accused had provided, Dr. Rogers tells the jury. Because of exactly that, do you know what I mean? As we said earlier, there would have been more people getting sick.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It doesn't make sense. Do you know if she's going on the stand, like, or
I
not?
do.
Okay.
I know she's saying that she's not guilty. 3 of the lunch parties passed in hospital. So Dr. Rogers tells the jury, and Jimmy, I've got to say this, like, Dr. Rogers is a prosecutor, as we know. This is her opening statement. Her opening statements went till about 3 o'clock.
Oh.
The defense got like an hour to do theirs. This is all still the prosecution's opening statement. I've been told that as a kid, liars can't lie straight in bed. Yep. My nana used to always tell me that. I live by a lot of Nana wise tales because she brought me up. Dr. Rogers tells the jury that as investigators got underway, Gail, Don, Ian, and Heather remained in critical conditions in Austin Hospital. Given the absence of any other cause, the knowledge that they had all eaten the same meal and that their symptoms, medical staff started treating the mushroom poisoning. Don underwent a liver transplant, and during surgery, doctors noticed tissue damage to his internal organs. The prosecution says medical professionals determined that Gail was too ill to survive a surgical intervention. Gail, Don, and Heather continued to deteriorate, and medical staff determined that further treatment would be in vain. Heather ended up passing on August 4th at 2:05 in the morning. Gail passed away later that day, so August 4th at 5:55 p.m. And Don passed on August 5th the next day at 11:30 p.m. They all passed from liver dysfunction linked to poisoning. Dr. Rogers said Ian's condition started to improve and he was discharged into a rehabilitation ward on September 11th. Apparently my father left when I was 3. Little Miss Sharon, it makes us stronger people.
I agree.
Like, I know who my father is and I wouldn't stand by him for the world. So even I took spirit time to meet my father we lasted one day and spirit time said let's leave.
Yeah.
He has lovely memories of the man. But as I said, I was brought up by my nana, and she is one of the most well, heaven has her now, but she was one of the most wonderful women in the world, and she made me everything I am. So that's all I thank the Lord for. So prosecution details death cap mushrooms. Dr. Rogers is taking the jury through technical descriptions about the death cap mushrooms, known as a Latin name, Mancha. I can't say that, but there is that name.
Death.
Yeah.
Amatia phallodis. I can't even. That's my best guess.
It's a spacious wild mushroom. They are highly poisonous, she says. She says that they are only found around oak trees. And it's usually, after the rain and in the heat is where they, by memory. Dr. Rogers says the symptoms set in about 6 to 12 hours after consumption before vomiting and diarrhea sets in, and then the body goes into shock. The toxins then attack the kidneys and liver, causing irreversible damage. The death cap mushroom is responsible for 9 out of 10 mushroom poisoning deaths and kills somewhere between 10 and 30% of those who ingest it. Amanita valid doses. Does that help?
Amanita phalloides.
I feel like I'm in a like Finding Nemo. Fun fact, that word, Latin name for death is named because they look like. I got it correct.
I could see that.
Apparently, I have no interest. I learn everything myself. This is what happened when we let men get exactly. Okay. Did I read all that one? I think I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like how unlikely place the mushrooms at the back.
Yes.
Prosecutors allege Miss Patterson went to places where death cap mushrooms had been sighted. Crown Prosecutor Dr. Rogers says that police searched Miss Patterson's home where they seized numerous electrical devices, including 2 phones. Dr. Rogers also called the jury's attention to a site called iNaturalist, a website where people can log flora and fauna they see, providing locations for the observation. On April 18th, 2023, an iNaturalist user identified death cap mushrooms near the town of Loch, which is about 14 kilometres from Kooraburra. Analysis were conducted on the devices, with an expert concluding that she travelled to Loch and Outtrim to nearby areas where the death cap mushrooms had been identified as growing on the iNaturalist.org website. The trip to Outtrim was made 1 day after a positive sighting of the mushrooms listed on the website, Dr. Rogers said. Dr. Rogers said Miss Patterson had been talking to her online friends about a mushroom dehydrator she had purchased and had emphasised for using it. The dehydrator was purchased from a Leongatha shop 2.5 hours before a trip to the loch, the prosecutor says. Just keep swimming, I know. I'm the oldest of 3. Mum raised us alone from my age of 6. I'll be 60 this year. I did like mushrooms before this case. I don't think I'll be eating them again. But yeah, so that's where she was about the dehydrator, where she was saying that she didn't have one yet. She's posting pictures of it. And it's very interesting that she went to where death caps were.
Oh, very interesting.
I think more drinks are in line there. They're off the menu for days, yep. Now I know why Spirit Time doesn't eat mushrooms. So police find the dehydrator in the landfill. The prosecution said... I know. The prosecution... That was another thing she lied about to the police, saying she didn't have one. The prosecution says Miss Patterson drove her red four-wheel drive to the Kooraburra transfer station and landfill and paid to dump an e-waste bag. The next day, police made contact with the Kooraburra transfer station and landfill. The only item in the bin was a black Sunbeam dehydrator with 6 trays inside. A picture of the dehydrator was shown in the court. The dehydrator was forensically examined with samples of the plant matter collected. Dr. Rogers said Miss Patterson's fingerprints were found on the recovered dehydrator. The prosecutor says that in a subsequent police interview, Miss Patterson told police she had never owned or used a dehydrator before telling police she might have owned one years ago. Don't hug it. I know. She better be having a big party and we better be all invited. So Erin Patterson likely never diagnosed with cancer. Dr. Rogers says testing of Miss Patterson, she put so much planning into this, but also made so many obvious mistakes. I know. And they're seriously pleading not guilty. She is. That's what she's pleaded. So Dr. Rogers says testing Miss Patterson conducted by professional Andrew Buston found that there was no evidence she had suffered an acute illness like the other lunch guests. Her vital signs and other test results were not suggestive of other acute illnesses or injuries. Miss Rogers tells the jury, there is not significant evidence to support the assumption that the accused was diagnosed with cancer, and Dr. Rogers says that the Victorian Cancer Registry has no record of Miss Patterson having received her cancer diagnosis. Earlier, the court heard that during the lunch where the alleged murders occurred, Miss Patterson had told her relatives that she had cancer. Prosecutors said that she had told them she wanted to know whether to tell her kids or keep it from them. So that was the reason for the lunch, was for them to come and talk about this cancer she had. Erin Patterson made fake poisoning claims, prosecutor says. So Dr. Rogers tells the jury that she's close to wrapping up her address. The prosecution case is that the accused did not ingest the death cap mushrooms at the lunch and did not suffer from the poisoning. It is the prosecution case that the accused used the false claim that she had previous medical issues to ensure and explain why the children would not be present at the lunch on the 29th of July. Dr. Rogers said traces of the mushroom toxins were found on Miss Patterson's dehydrator, located at the tip from the leftovers recovered by authorities. The same toxins were determined in urine samples of the male lunch guests, but not on Miss Patterson. Miss Wilkinson or Miss Patterson herself. Even though the toxins weren't located in the deceased woman's bodies, the autopsy results and organ failures were consistent with having ingested the death cap mushrooms. Dr. Rogers said the prosecution also alleges that Miss Patterson never fed her children the leftovers from the lunch. Kitty Witty, how are you, my darling? I hope there's no mushrooms anywhere in that Mexican food. Sorry to get personal. I really hate cancer fakers. I know. I am an oncology nurse and my daughter is a leukemia survivor. It boils my blood when people lie about it. It does.
It does.
It's not just cancer. I hate anybody that lies about medical conditions, and especially when they want to come out here and try and, yeah, I'm with you. Although lying about cancer really isn't the worst thing she's done, is it? No. But it's, I mean, you're hearing more and more of it, and it's horrible that people are doing it.
Well, I blame a lot of that on TikTok, like that single mum. Oh,
Mm.
I think she was from the Gold Coast who was lying about her daughter having cancer to get, I don't know, what do they call it?
Oh, the one that had the brain injury. She
Yeah.
gave it the medication, and it ended up with a brain injury. I heard about that. I know we heard the case, but the other day she broke her bail. She's going back to the courts because she broke her bail. Her ex-husband put her in.
Oh.
Just off topic, but yeah. But there's so many. Like, there's more as well. Do you mean you see it on social media all the time, and it's just really sad because, I mean, even we've all got family members that have been affected, and it's just horrible. But she just used it as a ploy to get everyone there to her lunch, her important lunch. It is rapid on TikTok. It's horrible. As she comes to the end of her opening address, the Crown prosecutor, Michelle Rogers, tells the jury not to be overawed by the volume of information she's presented. She addressed a topic that hasn't come up yet. What was Miss Patterson alleged motive? In short, she says that the prosecution won't be suggesting that there was a particular motive for Miss Patterson to commit an alleged triple murder and an alleged attempt at murder, but Dr. Rogers reminds the jury motive is not one of the things that the prosecution needs to establish for a jury to find the charges proven. Motive is not something that has to be proven by the prosecution. Dr. Rogers says the prosecution will not be suggesting that there was particular motive to do what she did.
Well, I don't know, but it's just a theory going or rumor going. I don't know. Going around that it was could have been over child support payments.
Yeah, that comes up in this too.
Oh.
The court takes a short break, and Miss Patterson's defence barrister Colin Mandy SC will be up next. And as I said, it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so she took all day for her opening statements. That was all just the prosecution's opening statement.
That's nuts.
So they come. I know. The hearing has resumed. Erin Patterson's defence lawyer, Colin Mandy SC, has begun his opening statements addressing the jury. As a true crime off topic again. You're right. I have been looking at that. She's the one that I have my opinions. Like, I know they're saying it was a suicide. We might do something on that one. Definitely. Because I don't think it was suicide. She's the one that, with Prince Andrew McJ.
Ah.
Bought it like about a week before. She said she got hit by a bus and was in hospital. I think you even sent me the article of it when she got hit by the bus. It might have been someone else. And then last week they said she committed suicide.
Ah.
Yet she put on many social medias that if she did that, do you know what I mean, if something happened to her, that she was in no state going to do it. I will, Kaz, I'll look into it. We'll do something on it. So the defence barrister, Colin Mandy, SC, raises to his feet to address the jury after the break. He says at the stage of the trial that he's limited with what he can say and to the extent to which he can argue with Miss Rogers' openings. For legal reasons, he says that his time to forcefully put his case will come at the end once all the evidence has come out. Mr. Mandy says it's not in dispute that the lunch guests fell sick and that 3 of them passed as a result of eating the death cap mushrooms. The main dispute, he says, is Miss Patterson's intentions. Did she intend to hurt these 4 people? That's the issue. Erin Patterson did not deliberately serve poisoned food to her guests, and the defense case is what happened was a tragedy and a terrible accident. She's innocent. Defense principle of innocence proven guilty. Like Justice Christopher Bale yesterday, Mr. Mandy reminds the jurors that they are the judges of the facts. He tells them Miss Patterson is innocent until proven guilty. It's not just something people say, it's fundamental principle and it protects all of us, he says. He says allegations are easy to make, but proving them is what matters. Theoretically stretching his arms out wide, Mr. Mandy says it's a long way between allegations being made and charges being proven. Then he addresses the widespread interest that the mushroom case has gained. You'll be aware the media fascination of this case, he says. Lots of people might have opinions or theories, but they are based on the evidence. I think we all have the same.
Yep.
But we're going to listen to the facts. We're not going to drink every time there's a red flag. And you have to laugh about it because this is so sad if you don't.
I agree,
Erin Patterson admits to picking mushrooms and lying to the police.
They probably caught her on surveillance or something, so she suddenly isn't lying anymore.
As Mr. Mandy's address comes to an end, Erin Patterson tilts her head back in the dock with tears welling in her eyes. Mr. Mandy conceals his client never had cancer. Mr. Mandy also agrees that his client did eat some of the same meal that the other lunch guests, despite not feeling sick. Then he addressed that Miss Patterson did, after the lunch, dispute claims by the prosecution that she was trying to cover her tracks. Mr. Mandy says his client panicked and now admitted to dumping the dehydrator and lying to the police. But that was because she was overwhelmed that people had passed because of the meal she served. He says finally he conceals that she did forage for the mushrooms at the center of the case, but Miss Patterson denied even deliberately seeking out the death cap mushrooms. There it is, case over. Yeah. I know, we're not as silly. Same as in the Sebastian, yeah. 100% with you, Miss Sharon. Is it really admitting to it when she's already been caught? I know. And the thing is, and this is what gets me, okay, and this is, again, in my opinion, she threw the dehydrator out saying that she was, like it was because people were passing away. But she threw it out before they had passed away. Another drink. Okay, defense warms up the opening argument. Mr. Mandy had finished his address. Justin Beale says that there are 2 issues in dispute in this trial, whether Miss Patterson deliberately poisoned anyone or whether she intended, and this intent is something that they keep emphasizing on, whether she intended to kill or cause really serious injuries to the lunch guests. Opening speeches are not evidence, he says. The evidence will begin tomorrow. The jury is bid farewell, with the 15 people in the panel returning to a room outside the court.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, he didn't get a lot of opening statement in at all.
Yep.
And that was the end of day one. So the 6 things we learnt from the first day is she's a massive light now. The first day of the trial saw both the prosecution and the defence making their opening arguments to the jury. Here is 6 things that we learnt today. Erin Patterson invited Ian and Heather Wilkinson and Don and Gail to their home in 2023 for a lunch to discuss a cancer diagnosis, but defence and prosecution agree her claim of the cancer diagnosis was false. The prosecution says that at the lunch, the guests noticed that Miss Patterson put her food on a smaller, different coloured plate to theirs. 3, while the 4 guests were quick to attend hospital, the prosecution says that Miss Patterson was extremely reluctant to receive treatment, checking herself out of the hospital when she could, and that they had to use the police to bring her back. The defence says initial statements made to police by Miss Patterson that she did not own a food dehydrator and that she had brought the mushrooms from an Asian grocer and that she had not foraged for the mushrooms were lies brought on by her panicking. But Miss Patterson's lawyer says what happened was a tragedy and a terrible accident, and his client is innocent of the murder. The prosecution will not offer any motive for the alleged murder without a motive unnecessarily for a conviction. If my cooking had made people this sick and I had something like a food dehydrator used, I'd rush it to the hospital to see if it could be... Exactly. They could have do you mean the antidotes a lot earlier? Yep. 100%. I thought she was innocent in the beginning because I thought, how could anyone be that stupid to think? I don't know how anyone thinks they can get away with murder these days. Like, you mean, any crime. There is so much things out there now that you'll get caught no matter what. Oh. Yeah. 100%. So that was the end of day 1. Then we got to day 2. So this was our first day of witnesses. So this was yesterday for us. But Friday we only had half a day. So today was only half a day. There was only 2.5 hours in the court. Because I know I was talking to Mac J like a couple of hours ago, and I'm like, I've only got the first 2 days, and then next minute, I got the 3rd day in. I think people are so captive by this case because it's like something out of Grimm's fairy tale. She is a modern day witch. She looks like it too. Oh, I did not say that. Erin Patterson's estranged husband, Simon, arrived at the court. So this was him yesterday when he was arriving there. I feel so sorry for him. And he spent all day yesterday and today on the stand, so he's probably exhausted right now. So Erin Patterson had invited her estranged husband to also attend the lunch where 4 people were poisoned. Miss Patterson had invited Mr. Patterson, his parents, and his aunt and uncle to her home to discuss a health issue. When he declined the invitation, the prosecution said Miss Patterson had doubled down. She emphasized the efforts that she had put into preparing the lunch because she wanted it to be a special meal and that she may not be able to have a lunch like this again for some time. I could say so much.
How convenient.
Senior prosecutor Dr. Rogers said, the accused said it was important to her that everyone attended the following day and that she hoped to see Simon there. He did not reply. And please remember at this time that she had already tried to attempt murder by poisoning him 3 times before this. So I really don't blame him for not wanting to go. In hindsight, I know. I want it to be special and that she might not be able to do this again.
Oh,
And how she'd be preparing this. I know, it's just after 3 failed attempts. Oh, don't go yet. So Simon Patterson is the first witness in the murder trial of his estranged wife, Erin. Don and Gail Patterson, Simon's parents, passed after eating the lunch. So this is all just going back over yesterday. Miss Patterson's Langath home, his aunt, Heather Wilkerson, also passed. On Wednesday, the court heard that Simon and Erin Patterson had separated in 2015, but had maintained an umbilical relationship for several years afterwards, and that they'd go on family trips together with the children. So this went a lot into their past as well. However, towards the end of 2022, their relationship had soured seeming from a disagreement about child support. The prosecution told the jury on Wednesday that in 2023, Miss Patterson had changed her children's school without consulting Mr. Patterson. Simon Patterson is in the witness box when he takes the oath before giving his evidence. Mr. Patterson confirms that he is still married to Erin Patterson and says they first met in early 2000. We both worked at the Monash City Council in Melbourne, he begins. Mr. Patterson says that he was a civil engineer while Erin was in the local laws department. He says that they slowly got to know each other before starting a romantic relationship, getting married on June 2nd, 2007. Miss Patterson in the back of the court dock is listening intently. I get it, relationships don't work. Yeah. Sounds like he was still trying. Like the way they went on, he was still going on a lot of family things. Do you know what I mean? Even the day of the dinner, it comes out that he picked the children up from the movies and brought them back to the house. So I think as much as he could, he was still trying to be, a good father and everything, even though she's trying to take his life on the side.
yeah.
Yeah. He says that slowly got to know. Yep, so I've read that one. So Simon Patterson is asked by the prosecution about his estranged wife. He says that she's witty and has worked towards many qualifications. Erin's very intelligent, even though she thinks she's going to get no. Mr. Patterson says, quite witty and can be quite funny. I guess some of the things that attracted me to her in the first place was her intelligence. He says his wife is a qualified accountant and air traffic controller. She studied various courses while we were married, including a vet science course. I know she had studied legal courses as well. When asked how she interacts with others, Mr. Patterson says it was very rare for her to invite people over to their home in the early years of their marriage. So if she was so smart, why did she think she was going to get away with this? She even studied law.
Yeah.
Another drink, Mac Joe.
Oh, yeah. I'm probably drunk already.
So the court hears that in the early stages of the marriage that Simon and Erin Patterson had a separation of roughly 6 months. What I understand from Erin is that she was struggling inside herself, Mr. Patterson said. Mr. Patterson says they engaged in some marriage counselling and he ended up landing a job in regional Western Australia. The job came with a home, and Mr. Patterson says his wife moved back in with him after he settled there. Men or women take breakups the wrong way. So Simon Patterson says that Erin inherited $2 million from her late grandmother's estate, which was distributed in multiple installments. He confirms their separation was made permanent in late 2015. It was strained. There was tension, he says. The relationship, saying that they've gone to see family counsellors. Mr. Patterson is asked by Dr. Rogers how he felt about his marriage to Erin Patterson. I was always keen to have a good relationship and a good marriage, he says. Erin decided to buy herself a separate house and move into it. Mr. Patterson said at the time she had not given him a reason for the separation. He says she later communicated to him that their relationship was toxic. Dr. Rogers then asked if multiple separations were always initiated by Miss Patterson. Mr. Patterson takes long pauses during his answers as he processes the questions. That's a difficult one to answer. I'll put it this way, she would leave each time. It was always her leaving me, he said. He then asked for tissues as emotional overwhelmed him, but declines to take a break from the testimony. He actually broke down crying a couple of times.
Aww.
This case is the definition of saying truth is stranger than fiction. Like, I don't think you could write no. And you watch it will be on Netflix soon. I'm sure of it. To me, this is the same beat. I have to go cook, beautiful ladies. Bye, Kaz.
Bye, Cass.
Okay. So the timeline's moving closer to the date of the 2023 lunch. As of 2022, the couple were living in separate houses. So this is what I mean. It was a lot of their previous history.
Yeah.
And I suppose they got time. They got 5 or 6 weeks. As of 2022, the couple were living in separate houses and the children were staying with Erin, although both parents were caring for the children. Simon says their relationship declined when Erin became angry that he had listed their status as separated on his tax return. She said that mattered for family tax benefit or something of that nature, and she would be obliged to claim child support off me, which had never happened before, he says. She was upset about it. Mr. Patterson says he was unsure how Mrs. Patterson had discovered the information on his tax return. The discovery led to an argument and a growing rift between the two. Mr. Patterson tells the court further disagreements spouted from the payment of school fees, which Mr. Patterson says he had always previously paid, and medical bills. When a medical bill for one of the children arrived, Mr. Patterson refused to pay it. Their relationship broke down further. I was sure she was very upset about that, he says. I have so much to say on this, and it's not just this case, and this is off topic, but I really dislike when parents, and you mean obviously you can see Simon was doing his best to still be a father to the children and still help, but he had every right to put on his thing that he was separated because they were. Do you know what I mean? I understand she's saying it for money reasons, but that's his right. They were separated. It's his right to put it on there. Do you know what I mean? I do know it comes up about these school fees and medical things, and that in the end, Simon basically says that's what child support's for. So she's fighting for this child support, but then still wants him to pay extra on top.
Yeah.
There's so much I want to say that's just, it bubbles. I get really cranky when people, especially separated ones, use money and child support to, it's
leverage.
Shake it off. Because children get hurt that way. It's just, I mean, I say that as my ex owes me like $11,000 in child support, so you can see how much I cared about it. So court adjourns for a break. The prosecutor, Natal Rogers, begins to change the subject of her questioning, at which point Justice Beagle interjects and calls for a break. During the questioning, Erin Patterson has shown little emotion and will return with more coverage of Simon's testimony. So that was when they had their lunch break. So back from the adjournment, the prosecutor, Dr. Rogers, is continuing to question Erin Patterson's estranged husband, Simon, who appeared as a witness. I just got to say, she took most of the first day with her opening statement. Her questioning of Simon took all of yesterday.
Whoa.
It's got a turn this morning. Yes, child support is shit in Australia. It's not just the child support. I just hate when parents use it against each other. Do you know what I mean? It's for the children. It's for their lives to be better. It's to help with the children, and I just hate when parents use it against each other when they separate. Do you mean either you're going to support your children or not? I don't know. And I hate when parents, and especially women, and I say this as a woman, what's really sad, but I hate when women separate, they fight for child support and exactly what she's doing and try and double dip and say, now can you pay this and can you pay that? It upsets me.
Well, I guess it depends on like the level. Oh no, never mind. Centrelink's the one that sorts that out.
Mm.
Like if income versus other person's income.
Like, I understand. I understand that if you separate the, do you know what I mean? You should still pay for your children. I completely understand that. It's just the fighting and the when they use it against each other. Because 9 times out of 10, you can guarantee it doesn't go to the kids.
Oh yeah.
Do you mean I have 4 children, and I'll just say this off topic. I was separated from their fathers. Do you know what I mean? I've got my 2 oldest girls are to one and my 2 youngest to another. My 2 oldest girls, their father, after a couple of years, he had to pay because his pays were garnished for it.
Yep.
And I can tell you now and I was a single mum with 4 kids at that time, so it was money that I actually needed. But when that money came in, I used to take my 2 girls to the shops and they used to buy whatever they wanted, whether it be a toy or a pet. We ended up with lots of pets, but I would spend it on them because that wasn't money I saw for me. But that's just how I took it. By the time I got to my second husband, he never paid, or if he did, it was very little and in change usually. So, do you know what I mean? He has a massive bill, but he can take that up with child support himself. And I just made sure as a mum that my kids never went without. That's just how I was. But I just hate when parents use it for fights.
Oh yeah.
All these absent fathers do jobs in the mines and don't pay tax. Yep. It's from both sides. Do you know what I mean? Both sides do it. Dads can get nasty, but mums can get just as nasty. Same as I hate when, and I shouldn't say it, I hate when mums leave and then use the kids to not see the fathers. That upsets me too.
Oh yeah. But I know that it's like the ideal is to do 50-50, but sometimes that's just not feasible, especially, living depending on where someone lives and all that.
Yeah. Especially after she just, yeah. Well, in saying that too, I do know that she spent a lot of that money back on like also his family. That comes out. But yeah, it's not like she was short of
Uh,
money either. That's crazy. And again, like they don't need, do you know what I mean? Like the Kardashians need more money. Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's like one thing, and this is one, it's off topic again, but it's something that I posted on my Facebook the other day. South Australia's just brought it in that anyone, like any male that interferes with children, no matter what it is, if you're proven guilty of it, that you will go straight to jail and that's it. But it's only in South Australia. Tell me why that's not Australia wide or even
oh,
worldwide.
very.
Sorry, that was very off topic, but it was just another thing that's come out with kids lately. I'll actually post it. I've got it on my Facebook. I'll post it in my Aussie True Crime page. It's experience of fathers have moved on, started another life.
Yeah, that's I don't know how that is because like
I think he'd moved out and moved on, but he was still very involved because, as I said, even the day of the lunch, he brought the children back from the movies. So, and do you mean it would have been hard for him because you got to think she'd already tried to, do you know what I mean, poison him 3 times. So it's not like it would be a place I'd want to go back to either. Anyway, back to this, or we're not going to get it done. Um, So back from the adjournment, Dr. Rogers is continuing to question Erin's estranged husband, Simon Patterson, who appeared as a witness. After the disagreement about child support, Mr. Patterson says Miss Patterson reached out in a group chat on the app Signal to his parents. He says Miss Patterson directed her concerns about the child support arrangements to his parents. So she dobbed on him. I think it was pretty clear that she was asking them to get involved, he tells the courts. Mr. Patterson said his parents called on their pair to resolve the issue together. Mr. Patterson says Erin particularly got on well with her father, Don. He again becomes emotional when speaking of his father. I think she loved his gentle nature. Why the hell didn't he warn his parents about the lunch if she had already tried to poison him? I know. And one thing I have got to question, as I said back at the start, with all these charges, there was 3 attempted ones on Simon, and they were all dropped. The jury was selected, those charges were dropped, and the court case started. And I'm so waiting for the end of this case to find out why. In my experience, oh yeah. So Simon Patterson is now telling the court about the lead up to the lunch at which his parents, Don and Gail Patterson, and Ian and Heather Wilkerson ate the poisonous mushrooms. He says he was invited to an earlier lunch that Erin Patterson wanted to hold with him, his parents and children, but he declined the invitation. Oh, Matt J's gone. I'm sure she'll come back. Beautiful Lizzo, how are you, my darling? Welcome in. So Mr. Patterson says that he understood that the pair's children would not be there. He says he discussed the invitation with his parents. He discussed his invitation with his parents, and they were intrigued by the purpose of the invitation. He later called his parents and told them he would not be attending, and he also told Erin Patterson that he was uncomfortable attending. The jury is shown an exception from a text conversation between Simon and Erin. Mr. Patterson read the messages aloud to the court, which were sent at 6:54 the night before the lunch. Simon Patterson: sorry, I feel too uncomfortable at coming to lunch with you, Mum, Dad, Heather, and Ian, but happy to talk about your health and implications with that at another time. If you'd like to discuss on the phone, let me know. In her response, Miss Patterson said her husband's decision not to attend was very disappointing. I've spent many hours this week preparing lunch for tomorrow, she said, adding that had been exhausting in light of her health conditions. I've spent a small fortune on beef eye fillet to make beef Wellington. Miss Patterson text response read, Miss Patterson told her husband that it was important to me that you're all there tomorrow so she could have the conversation she felt she needed to have with the family. I'm lucky both my children's fathers had passed, so it makes everything easier. And my children agree because my children never felt support. That is sad. I'm so sorry, Miss Sharon. But we're strong women and we can do it. So Simon Patterson describes the events of the lunch. Simon is explaining the events of the afternoon of the lunch and the following day as he remembers them. He recalls picking up his children and a friend from the cinema around 2:30 and driving them back to Erin Patterson's house in Lenegatha. But he did not get out of the car or speak to anyone at the house. He said he saw his parents' car at the house but did not see them. The following morning, he said he received a phone call from his father saying that he and his wife had been sick during the night, vomiting and diarrhea. He also visited the home of Ian and Heather Wilkinson and saw that Heather was pretty crook and had been vomiting. Mr. Patterson says Heather Wilkinson brought up the serving of lunch at Miss Patterson's house. We didn't have much conversation, but she puzzled and she said, I noticed Erin served herself her food on a coloured plate, which was different to the rest, he tells the court. Simon Patterson says that after being told that it would be an hour wait for an ambulance to arrive at the Wilkinson house, he elected to drive them himself. He tells the court that he drove the Wilkinson car to Kurrumbara Hospital, where they were told the facility was full and they would instead travel to Lenegatha Hospital. On the drive to Lenegatha, Mr. Patterson says Heather Wilkinson once again asked about the plate. So it was something that obviously was really worrying her. Mr. Patterson says that he could not remember the exact phrasing, but tells the court the best of his recollection. She asked me, is Erin short of crockery? Is that why she would have had these different kind of plates? He says, I said, yes, Erin doesn't have that many plates, and that might be the reason. During this part of the testimony, Erin Patterson's focus is fixed on her estranged husband, but she is still showing no emotion. Yes, please, everyone hit like. We need to get this one out there. So Simon Patterson is asked about the condition of his parents at the hospital and becomes emotional when discussing his father, who he says was substantially worse than Mum. This is when he was crying again. He was laying on his side, hunched quite noticeably, really discoloured, face struggling to speak. His voice was strained in a way that he wasn't right inside. He was feeling pain. He says his parents also told him that Erin had revealed a cancer diagnosis to them at the lunch the previous day. Mr. Patterson said his parents told him that Erin Patterson had revealed that she'd been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Now, this is another thing what I don't get. She went to the doctor because she had pain in her arm, but said that it was ovarian cancer. I don't know. I think we get half a drink there because I feel that's another red flag, especially when the cancer is July. I think that was the ploy.
I 100% agree.
So no update.
Nope.
Simon Patterson says in a conversation with his estranged wife, Erin Patterson, after the lunch, she claimed that she had been ill. She said she'd been having some diarrhea herself and it was quite frequent. He says Mr. Patterson says Miss Patterson indicated that she had been experiencing diarrhea every 20 minutes or so, and that she had not wanted to get out of the car out of the risk of having an accident. She was worried that she would poo her pants, he says. He tells the court after a long day at the hospital, he returned to his own home at Kurabara at 2:30 a.m. in the morning. Mr. Patterson says he received a call at 7 a.m. the next morning from Erin, who wanted to talk. She was a bit endearing, maybe, he says. She was sarcastically at a sort out our problems or something to that effect. He says Miss Patterson told him of further diarrhea and asked him to take her to the hospital. Mr. Patterson said that he declined and told her to get an ambulance instead. Could you imagine being at the hospital with your parents that are there because your ex-wife's poisoned them? Now she's calling you because she wants you to take her to the... Oh, my God.
It must be a narcissist for sure.
So Simon Patterson recalls talking on the phone to Erin on Monday after the lunch. He tells the court she told him she had been at Leongatha Hospital and the hospital staff had advised her to bring the children in for assessment. I said to her, I'm glad that you feel healthy enough to pick up the kids now, he says. Mr. Patterson said his wife turned down his offer to pick up the children from school and says she wanted to pick up the children herself. He says she told him she did not want the children to feel scared about why they were being picked up. Mr. Patterson said he thinks his wife had a bit of a barney with the hospital staff about which hospital the children would be admitted to for observations, as she wanted them at the same hospital as her. He says she later told him that she checked herself out of hospital and drove home, where she laid down and slept for 45 minutes.
Suspicious.
So then it was paused for lunch break yesterday. So this is just this is the house Erin's house. This is where it all happened. Prosecution detailed Erin Patterson's house where she had lived since 2022. And that's just another one. So these were shown in the court as well. The 5-bedroom home is situated on approximately 3 acres with a dining room hosting a 6-seater table on the ground floor. The prosecution says the dining room sits parallel to the island kitchen bench where it is alleged Miss Patterson had been cooking before the guests arrived the day of the lunch. The trial resumes and Simon Patterson testifies. Testimony continues. So Dr. Rogers had continued her questioning of Simon Patterson's estranged husband, Erin Patterson. The questioning has resumed, detailing the day after the lunch. Mr. Patterson picked up the children from school to bring them to the hospital for tests and asked them about what they had eaten. The children responded that they had eaten steak, green beans, and mashed potato, but no mushrooms. Mr. Patterson confirmed his children were found not to be ill at Monash, but were kept overnight. He tells the court that while the children were being admitted to hospital, they saw Erin being brought into the hospital on a trolley. He says there was no sign of vomiting or diarrhea from Miss Patterson when he saw her. Mr. Patterson says one of the children raised the topic of mushrooms in the hospital, and he says during the time in hospital, Erin had mentioned conducting a blind taste test with mushrooms-infused muffins with her children using the dehydrator. So, the dehydrator that she didn't own, and with the children that didn't make much.
Oh, yeah.
Math ain't mathin' on this one.
100% the math ain't mathin'.
It felt like news to me that she dehydrated food, Mr. Patterson said. He tells the court that he was not aware that Erin even owned a dehydrator. That's because she brought it the day before. Remember the day that she went to forage the mushrooms that she didn't forage that she brought from the Asian store? Keep going.
Ah.
Good night, beautiful Kez. So Simon Patterson is now being cross-examined by Erin Patterson's defence lawyer, Colin Mandy. So he finally gets his go. I feel like cheerleading for him because he never gets, do you know what I mean? Prosecution just gets all the go.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Mandy says that Mr. Patterson, if his friendship with Mrs. Patterson was strong after the separation but prior to late 2022. Mr. Patterson says that he's not sure that strong is the word that he would use, but he accepted that he may have said that in previous interviews with the police. It's not wrong. The relationship went up and down over the time, he says. He confirms that he and Erin Patterson and their children took numerous trips together after their separation, including overseas holidays. Mr. Mandy then raised the inheritance that Erin Patterson received after her grandmother had passed away. Mr. Patterson agrees that Erin was very generous with the money she received and that she bought the property that Mr. Patterson lives in.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mandy asked Simon Patterson about loans given to his siblings from a pool of money that included Miss Patterson's inheritance. Mr. Patterson said that the loans were given with an understanding they would be repaid in a similar fashion to a mortgage, but with no strict repayment schedule. Mr. Mandy asked if it would be fair to say that the money has never been a significant motivation factor for Miss Patterson's life decisions, and Mr. Patterson agreed. That just tells me she's silly with money.
Yes, exactly.
Mr. Patterson is now answering questions about the childcare arrangements following his separation from Erin. He says the most common arrangement was that the children would stay with Erin Patterson during the week and with Mr. Patterson on the weekends. After an overseas trip in 2017, Mr. Patterson said an attempt was made to reconcile the marriage, but it failed. Mr. Mandy says that Mr. Patterson asked Mr. Patterson about Erin Patterson using part of her inheritance after the death of her grandmother to purchase properties in both their names, and Mr. Patterson agreed that he maintained some hope prior to 2020 that the relationship could be reconciled. I thought so. Yep, he says. So it must have been after 2020 when she started.
Yeah, must have been.
In January 2021, Mr. Patterson says he and Erin had a disagreement over whose name was on the title of certain properties that they both shared. Mr. Patterson wanted his name added to certain titles, while Mrs. Patterson wanted it removed from others. While they had attempted to reconcile several times in recent years following a family trip together, Mr. Patterson says he was unsure if Miss Patterson was using him for his contacts or expertise as she was building her Langatha home. The jury has been given a break and will return soon. And that we nearly finished day 2. The hearing has resumed, and Erin Patterson's barrister, Colin Mandy, has resumed cross-examination of Erin's husband, Simon. Mr. Mandy outlines that Erin Patterson was an atheist when she met Simon, but suggests that she converted to Christianity as a result of his influence. Because we've got to remember his uncle was the pastor. So religion would have been very important. Mr. Patterson says, well, he reckons the causation there's probably a bit strong. He agrees that she was influenced by his religious beliefs. She did become a regular church attender, he says. The court hears that they joined groups for weekly Bible studies. Earlier, the court heard Erin had been moved during a local church service. Mr. Patterson is pressed on the relationship between his parents and Erin Patterson. He says that his parents loved Erin and that Erin also appeared to love his parents. Mr. Mandy asked if the Pattersons formed part of Erin's trust network, and Simon agrees. For quite some time, that was true, yes, Mr. Patterson says. Erin and the children had been to Don and Gail's house for dinner before without Mr. Patterson present, the court hears. Well, they were the grandparents.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Patterson says that the distance between his parents and his children had grown in the time before their passing. Towards the end there, I know Mum and Dad were trying hard to reach out and connect with the grandkids, and I know that they were struggling a bit to achieve that. So that means they would have been jumping at the chance. When she invited them for dinner, they would have, or the lunch, they would have been jumping at the chance because they would have wanted to see, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mr. Mandy counters mentioning video of one of Mr. Patterson's children conducting science experiments in the backyard with Don Patterson in the weeks before the passing. I don't remember that. I can't help. Sorry, Mr. Patterson said.
Yep.
So Mr. Mandy is now pressing Simon Patterson over his statements regarding crockery in Erin Patterson's Langatha home. You were to some extent familiar with the crockery Erin had, Mr. Mandy asked. When Heather said to you, is it possible that Erin's maybe short of crockery, your response was that she doesn't have a lot of crockery. That may well be the reason for the different coloured plate. Something along those lines, Mr. Patterson responds. Mr. Mandy pressed Mr. Patterson on the plates in the house and has him confirmed for court that there was no uniform set of plates in the house. Perhaps 8 or 10 plates in the house, Mr. Mandy says. I guess, yeah, that's probably fair, Mr. Patterson said. But if she had so much money, why didn't she have a decent dinner set?
Yeah, I wonder that too.
Mr. Mandy puts Erin Patterson's estranged husband, Simon, that his wife's appearance had changed over the years and she was embarrassed about how she looked. She didn't really say that too much. I don't remember her saying that at all, Mr. Patterson says. But he says he doesn't think his estranged wife is particularly happy with how she is, including probably most aspects. I don't think she has high self-esteem. It does a bit, doesn't it? Miss Sharon's saying it looks like he was following the money. In the final part of the testimony before wrapping up for the day, the defence questioned Mr. Patterson about friction arising from child support payments. Messages between Erin and Simon Patterson were shown discussing an application for family tax benefit. Mr. Patterson told the court that he was paying about $40. He was paying $40 a month
Wow.
in child support
Wow.
payments.
And wow. I'm starting to see why she was kicking up a stink.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
He was paying about $40 a month in child. I think you pay more than that when you're on Centrelink.
Yeah, you do. That is ridiculous.
Okay. But was to be reassessed on how much he would pay in the future. He says that although he was previously paying for school fees, he stopped doing so on advice. What, because his $40 was paying it?
Wasn't covering that, that's for sure.
Mr. Mandy has not finished his questioning regarding the child support, but will continue tomorrow morning. The court was adjourned. So that was the end of yesterday. What was the end of day 2? Day 3? Day 3 to them, 2 to us, because I didn't count jury day. So 6 things that they learnt from yesterday's hearing. Today's proceedings in the trial centred on evidence given by Simon Patterson, the estranged husband of Erin. Erin is accused. Okay, we know. Here are 6 things that we learnt from his testimony. Erin had a close relationship with Simon's parents, and particularly with his father, Don, with whom she shared a love of science. Erin and Simon had a tremendous relationship, experiencing several separations, reconciliations with Mr. Patterson, emotionally saying it was always her leaving me. Disagreements over child support and property led to a rift between the pair, with Erin asking Simon's parents to intervene in the issue. Erin inherited $2 million from her grandmother in 2006, money which was used to purchase properties and facilitate loans to Simon's siblings. Simon confirmed that Heather's Wilkinson, who passed following the lunch, was puzzled. I didn't make this one blue, so it's hard. Puzzled while Erin found different coloured crockery to the rest of the group. Simon told the court that Erin did not own many plates, and this may have been the reason why. A conversation at the hospital the day after the lunch was the first time Simon had heard of Erin using the food dehydrator. My ex was paying nothing per month. Yeah. $40 just seems really small if he was working. Like,
Oh, I agree.
I mean, as I said, I think even on Centrelink, I think it's more than that. I don't know. I don't have Centrelink, so, and I don't pay child support, but he said he didn't work. Yeah, most of them are like that, but that just shocked me. I didn't hear that before. So this was her yesterday in her nice pink shirt. I think whoever done this drawing done it very well, but that was her in yesterday's court.
Mm-hmm.
So day 3, what was today? So we only had half a day today. It was only 2.5 hours in the court, so it's very quick. We're nearly finished. and that would be the end of the first week. So it's day 3, day 4 if you count the jury day, but I count it as day 3. And we have Simon back up on the stand again. So Simon Patterson's evidence will resume. He's again smartly dressed in a suit, blue shirt and a tie. Erin Patterson is in the court dock wearing a sage green jumper and has her speculars resting on her head. Miss Patterson's lawyer, Colin Mandy, SC, gets to his feet with the cross-examination to continue. Family video taken before deadly lunch played to court. So the court is showing a clip of Simon's father, Don, and his grandson conducting a backyard experiment about 2 weeks before the fatal lunch. A matchbox-sized car has been modified, fitted into a rocket on the back. The pair fire it up and smoke bellowing out the back of the little red car. Ho, it's working. But why isn't it going? Gail Patterson is heard saying in the background. In the docs, Simon Patterson says he remembers seeing the clip. He smiles with tears in his eyes.
No.
That's the problem. I know my ex still owes me about 11. I still believe child support got a call the other day with his workplace, but I don't think he made that call. I really don't. I gotta go. I just stumbled on this channel tonight. I've subscribed as I really like your content. Sure to see. Well, you're very welcome, and I am so glad you found us, and would love to see more of you because you really made us laugh tonight.
Thank you for subscribing.
And please make sure that one of the links, I'm sure, are Mac J's channel, that you go and sub up to her as well. We usually do our content, it's usually all of us together, but just to give us some love.
Yeah.
So Mr. Mandy turns the conversation towards statements made previously by Simon. Yesterday, Simon told the court that Erin had invited him to lunch to discuss a serious and important medical matter. Mr. Mandy produces a statement that Simon gave to police during the interview, which shows different wording. You did not use the words serious or important when describing the medical issues. Would you agree with that, Mr. Mandy says. Yep, I would, Mr. Patterson says. Mr. Mandy has Simon concealed that his memory about the conversation would have been more accurate at the time of the police interview than yesterday. Mr. Patterson expresses to the court the difficulty he's finding in answering questions and finding a balance between the need to be succulent with the need to be accurate.
Okay.
Mr. Mandy questions Simon Peterson over Erin Patterson's health history. Mr. Patterson says his Australian wife had reported a multitude of illnesses to him in the past. Why did I just get Gypsy Rose things in my head? That was the first thing that came to my head. In the past, including a radiation of the heart, depression, and concerns about multiple sclerosis. I'm just not saying my words properly tonight. Mr. Mandy asks if it would be accurate to say that Erin often complained of health issues due to various reasons, which in the end had no substance or limited substance. Mr. Patterson agreed with this. I think there's a word for that. Hypochondriac. Mr. Mandy turns to a conversation between Simon Patterson and his father Don at the hospital on the day following the lunch. He asks whether it was possible Simon misheard his father when learning about Erin's admission that she was diagnosed with cancer. Mr. Mandy says, given Don's poor condition, that the short nature of the conversation, whether it would be possible that he misremembered what had been relayed. Mr. Patterson is adamant that his father relayed Erin's diagnosis of cancer to him. The possibility was more about the treatment than the diagnosis, he said. Her diagnosis wasn't in doubt. Mr. Mandy asked again if it's possible that Mr. Patterson misunderstood his father, which receives a sharp reply. Simon, I reckon we're starting to get in the realm of flying teapots territory. Mr. Mandy, I'm sorry I missed that. Simon, it's possible that there's a flying teapot going around Mars, but it's pretty unlikely. Miscommunication happens. It's possible. I've misunderstood everything you've said so far, and you're misunderstanding me. But I don't think we probably have. Erin Patterson's behaviour at Langathrop Hospital following the lunch has come under scrutiny. During Simon's testimony yesterday, he mentioned that Erin had seemed very keen to leave the hospital as soon as possible after the poisoning, against medical advice. Mr. Mandy offers that Erin had a history of disliking hospitals due to prior bad experiences, which Simon confirmed. On occasion, she wanted to leave for home before doctors say that she should, Mr. Mandy says. Yes, Erin hates the hospitals, Mr. Patterson says. Okay, I hate hospitals. But if it comes to me dying or being in a hospital, I will be in that hospital.
Exactly.
If it came to my children being sick, I would be putting them in that hospital, whether I like them or not. It's just
common sense. Yeah.
I don't like needles either, but I can guarantee I've had many when I've been pregnant or sick or...
Yeah, I'm not a fan either.
I mean, there's things we don't like, but we all have to put our big panties on and you do what's right.
Exactly.
We're near the end. Right in the end.
Warming.
What do I say? There was 100 things in this presentation.
Yeah, you did say that.
Near the end. Signal messages between Simon and Erin Patterson I've got some good news when we finish this. So I do have some good news to finish it. But let's just get through this. And it's exciting. Signal messages between Simon and it's got nothing to do with this case either. So I'm not saying exciting about this. Signal messages. So this Signal is an app that they use to message on. Just to put it out there. Signal messages between Simon and Erin Patterson are tendered as evidence showing that the two are arguing with each other. The argument stems around arrangements for Gail Patterson's 70th birthday, which Erin was not invited to. Mr. Patterson says that the lack of invite was not intentional and that his parents had genuinely believed that she was invited. In messages on October 14th and 15th, the pair argue and then reconcile. There was a lot of tension in our relationship and a lot of tension. Mum and Dad's relationship with Erin as well, Mr. Patterson says. I think this family was just trying to hold on and...
Yeah, I agree.
Do you mean when you separate, you don't get invited to all the family events?
No, you generally don't. So I wonder if it's because she had money.
Mm. During questioning about the conversation with Erin in the aftermath of the lunch, Simon says that his estranged wife didn't make detailed inquiries about how the in-laws were. It intrigued me that she didn't actually ask, Simon says. We didn't have the conversation, I think, at any time. So you just... Court breaks for the morning. A technical issue has arisen and Justice Beagle has taken the opportunity to call for a morning break. The hearing resumes and Erin's defense lawyer, Colin Mandy, is taking Simon through the text messages with Erin. He's pulled up all the messages, and I hope we do get to see these, but he's pulled up the messages between late November in 2022 and mid-August in 2023. Mr. Mandy outlines the court that the messages include discussions about paying medical bills for one of the children. Simon told Erin in messages that he'd been told by the Department of Human Services not to make additional contributions to the children given he would be offering child support payments of $40, may we say.
Ugh.
The court also hears that Erin played a role in helping live stream church services during doing this on alternative weeks with his father-in-law, Don. I wonder if that was because of COVID. Maybe they were streaming all the church things and COVID was on. Miss Mandy is rapidly moving through days and weeks of text communication between Simon and Erin Patterson. Much of the messaging is logistic and relates to live streaming at the church. Others discuss arrangements around the children. There has been about 20 minutes of discussion over these series of messages with Mr. Mandy. Yeah, okay. Yeah. With Mr. Mandy going into detail about the emoji used on the messages shared, on the images shared between the two. There have been no major revelations in the discussion so far.
Mm-hmm.
So text messages sent from Erin Patterson to Simon on July 31st, 2 days after the lunch, are shown to the court. Yesterday, the court heard that Erin's reluctant to go to the hospital and desire to have the children with her. They read, Erin, they're arguing with me now, saying that I might have to go to Dandenong. So that's where that other hospital is, Dandenong, that I couldn't think of, that does the liver, like specialises in the liver.
Oh, okay.
So if you're in Melbourne and you have liver problems or rectal problems, you get sent to Dandenong Hospital. Just, Melbournians know. The doctor is not listening to me and being a bit mean about it. About 20 minutes later, Erin, I'm going to Clayton Squeaky Wheel. Mr. Patterson says he and Erin had previously mentioned that the best way to move a bureaucrat was the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Okay. Erin sent another message. I feel nauseous and sore tummy, but they gave me endostin and saline and fentanyl. Erin, my potassium is 2.4, to which Simon responded with, holy crap. Simon, I only just saw your message now. Are they juicing you up full bore? Simon tells tells the court he did not know the normal range, but just assumed 2.4 was abnormal. But I think this was all put on her being sick.
I agree.
In my opinion.
In my opinion. Just like a certain Gypsy Rose.
I know, I'm getting her. Messages from December 2022, about 6 months before the lunch. About 6 months before the lunch are shown to court. They show that Erin invited Don and Gail Patterson over to her house in December 2022 to discuss family finances. Did she always dob to the parents?
Sounds like it.
Yesterday we heard that Erin had messaged a group chat that included Simon, Don and Gail about her issues with the child support payments. Simon tells the court that they were inflammatory messages and that she was being extremely aggressive. Mr. Mandy says the behaviour on both their parts had been poor. It had descended into some pettiness, if I can put it that way, on both of your parts, Mr. Mandy says. Yes, that's probably fair enough, Mr. Patterson replied. Mr. Mandy disputed Mr. Patterson's use of the term aggressive. That's not the right way of categorizing it, is it? She was upset. She was hurt, Mr. Mandy says. Perhaps you could put up the messages that she messaged the group chat that I mentioned and we could see, Mr. Patterson said. So it sounds like he's given a bit of his back too.
I agree.
The court hearing is coming to a close, but before the jury is let out of the room, Justin Beagle makes a point to warn jurors about the coming weekend. He notes extensive media reporting of the case and that they'll come into contact with people on the weekend who may know that they're serving on the jury and be extremely interested to talk to them about the case. You have to shut the conversations down, he says. He also warned the jurors against looking at media coverage online or in newspapers. You've got to ignore those things. I could never be a juror because they would tell me, don't go and research or look at anything. And I would not go home and research everything that I could about the case.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I couldn't do it. I would be too weak. We have heard hours of testimonies from Erin Patterson's estranged husband, Simon Patterson, but there's more to come. Mr. Patterson will return on Monday to continue giving his evidence, with the defence to finish their questioning and the prosecution to re-examine him. So we're not finished with Simon. I feel sorry for him. He's been there the whole time. So what we learned from... sorry, go.
I was just going to say, he must be exhausted. But I don't know, man, that $40 a month, that's just, especially with how much things cost, these school fees and such cost these days, that's a bit, especially if
I
he's not on
understand. Yeah, I can understand now her asking for more or for more help with the things. It doesn't change my feelings on child support. I still think there are a lot of families out there that use it for the wrong reasons and to get at partners, but $40 is a bit small. But that doesn't give you a reason to go and kill his parents and uncles and aunties and try and kill him 3 times, right?
Agree.
I mean, big girl panties on. She had money. We know she had money. So what we've learnt from today, well, the previous 2 days of the trial produced fresh revelations. Friday's hearing was more gradual and less explosive. The defence continued its slow and steady questioning of Simon, taking up the entire day in court. Defence lawyer Colin Mandy went over several months' worth of text messages between Simon and Erin in extreme detail. retaining facts and putting Simon's previous statements under microscope. In particular, Mr. Mandy called in to question Mr. Patterson's memory relating to things such as the plates used at the lunch, the words he had used in police statements, and a conversation he had with his father, Don, at the hospital. Frustration seemed to set in as Mr. Mandy challenged Mr. Patterson over the final point, with Mr. Patterson doubling down on his position that his dying father had told him that Erin had claimed a cancer diagnosis at lunch. A substantial amount of time was spent on text exchanges between Erin and Simon discussing logistics. Getting my words out. On live streaming at their local church service, although the defence had not yet said how this relates to the case. There is still more questioning to come on Monday, with a substantial bit of evidence still to come from the defence and the prosecution. And I think I've just got a picture here. So that is the end of week 1 in the case. That's what we get.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to be following this. So for the next 5 or 6 weeks, however long we're here for, I'm going to be doing the same. I think next Saturday, because that way I can get the whole week all in one go. If I find it's getting too big, we might do one in the middle of the week just to see how we go. Yeah. Well, we've done 3 days and it's nearly 3 hours. So, yeah, we'll work it out. But I do have some good news, and it's not about this case, but Spirit Time has put us on a tour that goes on here in Brisbane, and I don't know. I know some people, like some of us are from Queensland, so you might know of the ghost tours in Australia that are run here by Jack Sims in Brisbane. But he also does crime ones, and he has a coach tour coming up on the 31st of this month that Spirit Time has brought tickets for me and him to go to.
Awesome.
And you go to 4 crimes that happened in Brisbane and retrace the people's steps from the crimes.
Nice.
I don't know what crimes they are, but it is on the 31st of May. We have tickets, so I'm going to be filming it, and we are going to cover it. You can bet your bottom dollar. So I'm so excited for that. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be able to actually film where they happened and what they show us, and we can bring it back and put it into a show. So I'm quite excited about that.
I bet.
And we can thank Spirit Time for it, because it's something he organised for us. So I'm quite excited, and I thank him heaps. I am going to continue with our Williams shows, because I know we've been missing them while we got everything sorted out with the sound, but I do want to continue with Wednesday's show. I think we might take Amy's off just for the time being while we're covering this one.
Yes.
Because obviously I've got a lot going on, and so does Mac J right now, and I still want to be here for you, so we'll still keep Wednesday because we still want to keep doing and getting William's name out there. And I think Saturday we'll come back and do the next week Erin's. If anything big happens, I'll put it on our community post, and I'll send it to Mac J to put. Oh, do you have we don't have a community one for you yet.
I think I do. I think they've made it so everyone has it now, but I just don't know. Like, I haven't played around with it.
All right, we'll work out if you do. But if there's anything big in the, like, any drinking moments, should I put it? We'll put it on our community wall. But I will put one up for next week, and we will definitely be back next week to cover the next week of this trial. Because it's huge. Do you know what I mean? As I said, there is so much media around it. It's just not YouTube media. So we're going to be the YouTube media for Erin Patterson.
Yes, it seems so.
But other than that, I think that's about it. I'm going to go and have some dinner because my daughter's arrived and cooked me dinner and I can smell it. It smells beautiful. And other than that, thank you everyone for coming. Please share this one out. We want to get this story out. Make sure you've hit the like. Make sure you've subbed up to MacJ. I know her link's been going down the chat, but it's also in my description. And I think that's it. Is there anything else?
Wasn't there like a minor update on Amy Wensley? Like,
there was. Let me find it. It was just give me a sec. Okay. Give me like couple minutes and I'll be finished. Share screen. So this is just from my Facebook, but I'm going to share it.
There's a bombshell claim tonight from the coroner who first examined the file into the death of Serpentine mother Amy Wensley.
Evelyn Vickers says she suspected murder right from the start. Police have reopened the investigation following the launch of a 7 News podcast, The Truth About Amy.
11 years on and Amy Wensley's family is still fighting for justice.
It's so good to see you. So beautiful.
In 2014, the 24-year-old's body was found slumped in her bedroom in Serpentine with a fatal gunshot wound to her head. Mum Nancy says her memory of that day is patchy, but recalls the important parts.
But that phone call, what she said to me, I'll never forget.
Officers initially treated Amy's death as suspicious. Detectives later ruled it as suicide, but some think authorities should have acted earlier.
To me, it was an unlawful killing.
Speaking exclusively, Evelyn Vicker was the first coroner to preside over Amy's case.
We've got evidence she didn't pull the trigger herself.
7 years later, an inquest with a different coroner delivered an open finding. That's despite a biomechanics expert concluding Amy couldn't have killed herself.
I was surprised. I just get the feeling that, you know, the evidence hasn't been weighted in the best way possible for Amy to get justice.
A former detective who worked on the case revealed she got into trouble for refusing to treat it as a suicide. WA Police have reopened the investigation with new evidence set to be handed down to the Director of Public Prosecutions. It follows the launch of the 7 News podcast, The Truth About Amy. You can hear more about this on Season 2, available now wherever you listen to your podcasts. Francesca Dinuccio, 7 News.
So we are going to be going back to Amy. It's not going to be finished, but that one came out, I think it was like the 27th or 28th. It was only like the other day.
Yeah.
It's really just saying about the second season. And I think we're almost finished the first one now, so we're just about up to the second. Or we're halfway through the first. So we will be coming back, as I said, as soon as we can work out our dates and that, because even with my classes, they've been getting so much more now. And then we've
Yeah.
had sickness in the house. My granddaughter's had a terrible ear infection. The daughter's only, 11 weeks off new bub coming. So
Oh,
even that's getting exciting. But yeah. All right then. Well, we'll end it there. But we'll definitely be back Wednesday for William and next weekend for this one. And yes, thank you everyone for coming in and supporting us. Please remember to like it. Please remember to go sub up Mac J and like hers as well, because she's got the same thing playing. And we'll see you all next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
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 Aussie true crime on the rise. Investigate the scene, uncover the lies. From Melbourne to Sydney, all the way to Perth. No case too tough, we'll dig into the dirt. We'll crack the code, find the truth, bring justice to the table. No excuse, Australian legends in the game, bringing light to darkness, no shame. Just got a super chat, let's celebrate. Raise a glass for all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. From cold cases to missing persons, we'll leave no stone unturned. Every virgin detectives in our hearts will never give up. But justice and truth will always hear us. Oh, thank you so much. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Thank you so much. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. For all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Thank you so much.